And we used to bring all the drug dealers out, get their stash, what were in Tic Tac boxes or cigarette boxes, empty them out. So that was just a lesbian dance floor. Yeah. They had their tops off, going for it. Guys used to stay in here for 2 nights, 3 nights straight, wouldn't come out. And these guys were lawyers, doctors. They'd stay in there and party. Here, if you have a punch up and you can give someone a hiding, then they come back the next week and want to shoot you. But you got to imagine the sidewalks where you cannot move. There's so many people. Now we're going to walk. I'm going to show you the biggest line I've ever done at DCMs.
Welcome back to Lost Nightclubs, guys. We are here in the heart of Sydney, Australia. Darling Harbour. It's a busy night. There's people out. It's walking. It's a beautiful night. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Now, every good nightclub needs good music, great bar staff, a venue, maybe even a theme. They also need a good bouncer or doorman. So today we're doing something a bit different. We're going to meet up with a doorman that works Sydney for many years and is well known. He even worked for the heyday of King's Cross. So let's go see if we can find him. It's been a fucking hot minute. I wonder where the fuck he is. Okay, I think I see someone up here. It might be, there's that guy. All right, we found him. Hey Neil.
How you going?
How you going, man? Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Awesome, hey, thanks for coming.
No, it's all good.
This is exciting. I've been looking forward to this. We do a lot of research.
Oh yeah. On the clubs or me?
Both. Yeah. A lot on you actually, because there's a lot of good stories, mate. But yeah, no. So it's a hustling, bustling city tonight down here.
It's not as busy as it usually is, but it's quite busy. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of events on and concerts here now. So, but as for the nightlife, it's a big difference now. Big difference.
Yeah. Now, you're originally from Liverpool, yeah?
Liverpool, UK, yeah.
When was the transition point when you said Australia is home?
I would have probably said maybe 3 years in.
Well, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, but for the 12 months I was there, I was homesick, and I fucking hated it because, to tell you the truth, when I came here, I moved to Wollongong, and that's like a country practice. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I came here in '92, Australia to me was 10 years behind UK. You know what I mean? So everything I was doing over there, coming here, it was like, it just felt I was going backwards. Yeah. But, it took me a while. I started playing soccer and I met friends, and then I chilled out and relaxed.
And you got introduced to nightlife quite young because of your father, right?
Yeah, my father owned clubs and ran clubs since he was 21. So, I used to go to his nightclubs when I was like 14, 13, 15 and hide in his office while the club was going. And so it was pretty good.
I mean, that would have put it in your veins, right? A little bit?
Yeah, because I actually, when I was 15, I think it was, I wanted to be a DJ, but I was shit at it. So I never really done it. But I love the nightlife. I've always loved the nightlife, always, because of my dad and because of what he had. I actually used to give free tickets out to all my classmates when I was 15 to 16 years old. Because it was very easy back then to get into nightclubs underage, because there was no photo IDs back then.
Yeah, I remember those days, and you could actually just print out, or just change the number on your date.
As long as you looked big and you looked like you were like maybe 18, you'd walk in. Yeah. But I didn't have any trouble because my father knew all the doormen, and the doorman would never say no to me because of my dad. So I just used to walk in at 14 years old.
We used to make up just random fake IDs, like courier IDs and stuff. Now, why have we met here? Like, you requested that we should meet around here. Is there any significant part about
Home Nightclub?
Darling Harbour, right?
Home Nightclub. This is right here. This is my first nightclub that I worked at when I got a security license, and I started doing the doors.
Let's go over here. This is essentially a super club, really, right?
This is what probably when it first opened. This was the club to. Everyone just went, wow, what the fuck's this? You know what I mean? Like, you virtually got 3 levels, but they all go off each other. You know what I mean? You got the main dance floor downstairs. You come up halfway through, and you've got the blue room that comes up the stairs, and then you come to here, which is, it's kind of a bar, but it was put into a chilled kind of nightclub up the top. Sublime was here on Friday nights, which was massive back then. And it's funny, you see, I used to hate that music before I worked here.
What kind of music? Wait.
High energy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I never was really into it, but this, for some reason, it clicked with me, and I went, fuck, I like this. And I used to love Sublime every Friday night. It was mostly an Asian crowd back then, but it was, it was pretty good. Like, as I said, that there, you see the bush down there, that was called the Magic Garden back then. It's grown a bit by now, but that's what I used to do. See, back when I worked here, I was the fellow who used to go around undercover looking for the drug dealers.
Ah, right.
And then
And
we
then
used
you just stash
I
it
used
in-
to, I used to come out here. So every time I used to find a drug dealer, if he had pills on him or whatever, I used to make him crush him with a mullet.
Oh, right.
And he'd crush his own pills.
Oh, that would have been tragedy for him, right?
So that we called it the magic garden for everything.
So probably it would have been worth
That's probably why it's grown so well, because of all the
$100 grand or something. It's on ecstasy, you know, like, wow.
But this was a club to be like it was. You had big DJs that would come in here. You know what I mean? And it was actually one of the most organized nightclubs I've ever worked at with the doorman. It was probably about maybe, I'd say at the time when I was there, about 30 doormen.
How many years are we talking about now? Because essentially this is not a lost nightclub. This is an ongoing thing. This
Ongoing thing.
Stayed here all this time.
It's had its heyday, I reckon. Back when I started working there in 2000, it was booming. You know what I mean? And the lineup would go from like here, and it would go all the way down to where probably we'd see the ice cream all the way down there.
That far?
Yeah. So that would be every Friday night.
Holy.
But it wouldn't be just a straight line. It'd be in and out, all the way down.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that would take you an hour to get in, right?
Yeah, and you'd be queuing up here at probably about around 8:30.
If you deny someone after the hour, it must have been pretty grueling for them, right?
Bro,
that's life, right?
But this was the place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you would want to come here, and it was massive back then. Like even when you got in and it was open for like at 12 o'clock, there would still be a lineup outside of people wanting to get in here.
Wow. What was the main attraction? I mean, I guess it's just the super club and the
super,
location.
The location, the DJs at the time, and the venue, because it was known worldwide. You know what I mean? It was a franchise. And it started off in the UK, and then it eventuated over here.
So the actual owner doesn't live in Sydney, or?
No, not back when I was working, no. This was the first gay venue that I ever worked at too. It was on a Sunday, and that was an eye-opener for me. Yeah, because I'd never...
Well, usually the music's pretty good at a gay venue. They often are on the forefront of music. But yes. You didn't like it.
No, it's not that I didn't like it. I was just... See, so this bit here, this was a bar here. All right? Now, this was just for the lesbians only. So you were not allowed to... No male security was allowed in there.
I've never heard of that ever before.
So that was just a lesbian dance floor. Wow. So, when I say lesbian dance floor, they had their tops off going for it.
Wow.
And you were not allowed to be on that door unless you were a female. That's how intense it was in here.
Wow. Okay. I would have liked to have seen that. But
don't worry, a lot of doormen didn't want to see it.
I'll work the level 3 tonight.
They just on the wall past.
Oh my God. Because there was a time, and I even did it myself, well, not in this condition, but back in the day, you could take your shirt off in a nightclub.
Yes.
That was kind of like late 90s.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yeah, you could do that here and a few of the venues that I've worked at, but yes, you could do that. Yeah. Now you don't do it. Everyone's dressed in their Versace's and all like that.
And even smoke cigarettes in there as well.
Yes. But you came out here and sometimes it got to the point where you'd stand out here and do your smoking.
Yeah, right.
Like this, but it's changed a lot since I was here.
Do you reckon you would know anyone here?
No, it's totally changed.
Yeah, okay. Now I wonder if this actual building was just purpose built for this. Like,
I think it was.
Must have been, eh?
Yeah, I think it was.
And that's quite rare. The exterior as well.
I think when it went to plan, they wanted this, because don't forget they've got the rooftop too. That's a rooftop bar too.
Right.
So it went all the way around.
Yeah. Let's go have a look at the magic bush and see if there's anything still in there. What's going on here? Like,
all right, so they're setting up for VIP sections. They're setting up for the general public sections. That's how we used to do it here. And it looks like they're still doing the same, but now they've got the scanners where you...
What do these do?
Well, that's
like ticket sales, or is that...
No. They don't have to be... They pay us as they go in, but this is all now for scanning your ID now. You know what I mean? It's all technology instead of what you used to do back in the old days.
Yeah. It's looks like you're going into a festival. It's not like one guy on the door or two guys on the door or something.
It's totally changed now.
Yeah. Well, we'll just quickly let's have a look here, and then we'll go looking through the window over there. But this...
So this bit here is where I used to do the magic dance. So we used to stand here. There's no gate, there's no fence here back then. And this was just purely little plants.
Yeah.
And we used to bring all the drug dealers out, get their stash, what were in Tic Tac boxes or cigarette boxes, empty them out. If they had 100 pills, we'd make him smash them. Yeah. Like we had the mullet there, they had to pick it up. Yeah. We'd surround them so we couldn't get away. And you had to, even if he had cocaine on him, he had to...
Because it was common knowledge that you guys had set up that they weren't supposed to be dealing in the club. They can do it out here, but...
Yeah. So we used to... this club was very well known for, especially on a Friday, for dealers. Yeah. Massive.
If you're a fan of Lost Nightclubs, we're having a gig. It's in Auckland City, Mothership, July 19th. Come on down where we play old school music with some of the best DJs from Auckland. See you there.
See, even home, see how bad that is now? Home bar would never close. That used to be home bar.
Wow.
So that was home bar. That was connected to this place.
Well, you can see through it here.
See, this place would never close.
Right.
Around 11 o'clock, this would close.
Right.
So you could sit out here on the veranda here.
Okay.
Have drinks, and then you'd go into home nightclub.
Because this would have been nice. You get the view and all the
beautiful.
shit. People walking by. Yeah.
This place used to pump, but the thing is, over the years, like Sydney has just gone downhill, and it's.
I mean, it's kind of a general thing over the whole world, really. Just a bit of the decline in nightlife. Like no matter what city I go to, it's the same story.
I also think it's a new generation coming through.
Yeah, and they're coming through. They've got social media, got a lot of like things at home that they can watch Netflix, and they're just a different breed, unfortunately. We never had that shit. We never had phones in our pockets.
We didn't have phones when we went out.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go out.
We lived. It was beautiful because we got that last bit of that generation, and then we got the next generation, but I think I prefer the old one.
Like as soon as these phones came out, the whole thing changed. This is the new W Hotel. And now, like, back in the day, you would get like good hotels that would have good nightclubs in the venues. Now it's just all restaurants. Like, there's nothing really let's stay here. You know what I mean? And get a room. There's no nightlife in there. Even the bar in the bar
is
in
here.
Is
that a DJ? It is.
Is that a DJ?
I think it is.
No, it's not. Oh, it is too.
Yeah, she's bouncing to the music.
Bouncing down, but you see that it's just a bar. There's no one there.
But yeah, back in the day, hotels, they did quite well.
Yeah.
So.
But nowadays, as I said before, the generation has changed now. Yeah. They don't want to party. They just want to look good on their phones and eat at nice fancy restaurants. And like this place used to boom. Like there is a place above here that goes far down called Cafe de Mal. That's pretty good that goes off on a Sunday. Yeah. But the casino, that's gone to shit now.
I mean, that was the last resort when they brought in the lockouts, right? You could still go to the casino. Did the casinos like that, or?
Oh, they did. The casinos liked it, and they had good clubs there. You know what I mean? But now, even the clubs there have closed down, and there's nothing in the Star anymore. Yeah. So even the Crown doesn't even have a club, and all the bars closed there at 11 o'clock.
Oh, hey, that's changed. Because they were all night, I think, weren't they?
Yeah. Now, if I do want to go out, I'd rather go to Gold Coast, Brisbane, or Melbourne.
They're still partying up there, though.
Still party. Okay. To me, Gold Coast is like what Sydney was 10 years ago.
Wow.
Club to club, club to club, club to club. We're here now, you can't go to a club because if you go to another club, it's dead. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I guess Gold Coast is still then like the Florida, the spring break of Australia, And I've been to those clubs. And I had a night of my life at one of those clubs. This guy Fortify, he's like a millionaire now. But he was the guy, and he knew I was coming because I made music videos, and I came to this club and I was with a friend, and he went, he's the MC. He's like, Shaesterling's in the club, and all these girls come out with shots and shit. My friend was just like, what's going on? So Fortify, I'm still here. I can do a music video if you want. But anyway, that was another sort of super club kind of thing. It had multiple, had a highest big stage, and
but look at what Gold Coast have got. And what the council allows them to do, still 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, club hopping around to Cali Beach on top of an old car park. Right. Have you ever been to Cali Beach? No. See, Cali Beach now is it's an open plan. The only restrictions is the music level, okay, because of apartments around it. But just imagine you're partying on a roof level, probably just say like the size of that building there, and it's all open plan, and you can party. You know what I mean? Where Sydney, you just can't do anything.
Yeah, okay. It's annoying, the restrictions. It's been the theme worldwide. So you must have really enjoyed working at that, because that was pretty much the super club of Sydney. Like, how did you progress through there?
I started. Well, when I came here, like they were going to put me on the door because of my size, and then I said no. It was a bit boring. It looked boring, and it was a boring door to work at. Yeah. So then they said, all right, go for a roam, work, on Fridays and Saturdays, just roam around, people watch and all like that. And then I think it was the 4th week I've been here, they gave me the drug run, which was like, look for the dealers.
What?
The drug run.
A drug run.
That was it, the drug run.
Sounds like you're taking drugs over the border or something.
But I was the man who went around looking for the dealers who came in. You know, so I'd follow around. If I could see a group of guys, you know, they were going to the toilets or they were going to meet in certain corners because there were a lot of dark corners in there.
Yeah.
I would just follow them, watch them, and then all of a sudden I grabbed the one who I think's the dealer or whatever. I even got the chance that I'd go in toilets and I'd look over the cubicles. That's me. They couldn't stop me.
So they allowed you in the toilet?
I could do it.
Right,
I could even push down the doors and drag them out. And that's where I think my biggest haul there. We didn't crush these ones because it was a massive haul, but I found, I think it was over 280 tablets and about 6 bags of coke and something else, speed and all that kind of shit.
Wow, yeah.
But they were all in Tic Tac boxes. But yeah, that was probably the best clubs I've worked at. It was, and I still say that to this day.
Wow.
One of the best clubs I've worked at.
Yeah.
Especially for the organisation of it.
Yeah.
You know, it was very professional. Most of the doormen here were all ex-PATs, ex-SAS. So you got to look at it. They were switched on these doormen.
Okay, so you probably learned a bit from them, right?
Oh yeah, I learned a bit from them. Yeah, I learned a bit from them. But some of them were like from overseas in England, Scotland, and all like that.
Oh, okay.
France and all like that, and they were all fucking pretty big boys.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Neil, once you finished up at home, what happened then?
From Home Nightclub, I went to YU Soho, which is in King's Cross, Victoria Street.
Ah, okay, right. Like you made that move yourself, or did
No,
something happen?
I was offered by the owner. So I first of all, I was offered to work at Cock and Bull, which is a pub, an Irish pub in Bondi Junction.
Right.
And they owned a lot of venues, and one of the venues was YU Soho, and they wanted to, you know, make me the head doorman. So I started working there, and I stayed there for 2 years. But that was a sexy venue. Like that was a very sexy crowd, sexy club. That was one of the clubs to be at back in like 2001, 2000 to 2005.
Now, saying Sydney's dead, I mean...
Sydney's dead. This is dead.
It feels like there's something...
No. These aren't going to any clubs. They're just walking around.
Ah, yeah. Copy. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of Vietnamese in Sydney.
Yeah.
Did you ever interact with one of those Vietnamese gangs, or...?
Oh, I would do on a Friday night at DCMs. But I used to mingle with them at Home Nightclub too.
Okay.
Because that's, you know, Friday night down there was mostly Asian groups. But I got to know most of the Triads that came to DCs on a Friday night.
Are the Triads still around?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they've been around for like 50 years.
Oh yeah, you'll
Maybe
never get rid of
longer.
them. But they sit under the radar. They don't try and make noise. You know what I mean?
So what street are we on now?
This is Oxford Street. Yeah, this is Oxford Street. So this is the start of Oxford Street.
And what would you call this? Is this like a halfway point to King's Cross, or?
Yeah, see back. Yeah, it could be a halfway point, but also this was known as the gay street.
Okay.
So it was when DCMs opened and a few other clubs opened up that were known as straight. The gay community took offence to it, especially DCMs, because before the owner that I worked for had it. It was known to let, you know, the gay community in. As soon as we took over, that kind of stopped because the gangsters came in, the bikies came in, and they just didn't like that. And they actually did a petition to get us closed down. While I was there, because I was there for nearly 7 years, and they petitioned it for that 7 years to get it closed down.
And was it their choice, or there was no discrimination at the door or anything? It was just...
No, there was no discrimination. It was just a fact of that they call this street their street.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you bring in, you got to understand, when you bring in a kind of a stereotype image into your club on a gay street, they don't take too well to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you got to understand too, that wasn't the only club that the straights took over. There was Arc at the top, you know, that got taken over, and that was known as a very well-known gay club. But then straight people started going in, and then they started to ban straight people going in it.
Wow.
Because the fact of the gay community didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's a very tricky one, this one. Because, you know, as you see, DCM's just over the road there, where the lights are. And across the road, we were always looked at by undercover coppers. They'd get a room there, and they'd watch us every weekend.
Now, you say DCMs is over there.
Yeah,
Are you talking
DCMs.
about the original?
The original DCMs.
Okay. So
This was a nightclub. When I was working at YU in Soho, a lot of my doormen who worked under me would leave their shift early and go and do a shift down here because DCMs was open till 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, right.
Okay, so they would finish their shift at 5 and go and do another fucking 6 hours over here. Wow. All right, but I used to get the shits with them and go, well, where are you going? Why are you leaving my club? So I started to, believe it or not, sack a lot of doormen who used to go to DCs. Okay. But then 6 months later, I took over the door. You know what I mean? So it's funny, but I used to hate this.
Protect your own, right?
Yeah, but I used to hate this venue. I really did. I never liked it. But it grew on me working on the door. So that's the main door there, right there, where the green light is, the traffic lights, directly in front. That is the main door for DCMs.
DCMs was owned by John Ibrahim. He is a well-known former nightclub owner from Sydney and often referred to as the King of the Cross. John had 2 television series made about his story, Underbelly and The Last King of the Cross. Our guest, Neil, also became a private security guard for John Ibrahim.
DCM's door was...
DCM's door was this one?
Oh, right. And we're looking at a Mediterranean Greek restaurant at the moment.
Yeah, you are now.
So they've taken over the venue, and there's probably been some other in between, right? But
no, actually, that's it.
Okay.
That's all it's been there. It was closed down for a bit. No one used it, and then they took over. But that was the main door. You had on top there, you would have DCMs, and then it went to UN2 and all like that kind of. But this was it. This was the main door. This is where I used to stand. And when I talked about lines before, like when we were in a home nightclub and I said how big the line up, I'm going to now walk you to show you how far a line was when we used to have a white party or Alex K playing here, all right? Okay. So you got to imagine this, all right? So the line would start here, all right? Yeah. This is it. Now we're going to walk. I'm going to show you the biggest line I've ever done at DCMs.
Wow. We're going to go back to the CBD, right?
You got to imagine this. I had to come down and check everybody who had let into this venue.
Oh. So because would you walk the line sometimes?
Yes, I'd always walk the line to kick people out of it. I'd always walk it.
You tell them early. It's like,
yeah, I tell them early.
Don't bother.
Yeah, don't bother. You're wasting your time.
Wow. So I mean, we're already like nearly 100 meters or something. Holy. Okay, we're going around a corner. Holy.
This is God's honest truth. This is how the longest line I've ever had at DCMs.
What's the capacity of the club?
The capacity back then was, you know, like you'd say about 400 would allow in, but there's always about 1,000 people in there.
Okay, yeah.
All right, this is where it went to.
Holy.
Level here, all the way around.
You're talking, 150, 200 meters or something down the road. And that's stacked.
You know, they could wait in the line, this kind of line, for about 3 hours to get in.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
And I mean, at that time, would you say the peak of DCMs was like a multiple years?
Yeah, because you had different times. You know what I mean? Like, people will say the glory times of DCMs were before John had the club, okay? When I took over this door in 2003, and I started working here till it closed down, to me, that was glory times. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because, you know, you got to have a look at all the DJs that came through here. Lineups like this was just unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, what's the attraction compared to other clubs?
That's right. You know what? That's funny. I used to say that to myself because I never partied here. Yeah. But then you just got to look when you go in. You know what? Everyone hates this place, but they've always been once just to see what it's like. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was the smell. It was an addictive, sweaty smell.
This place was family.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you came here, you enjoyed yourself. There was no one would fuck up in here. You know, if you fucked up in here, you know you're going to get a fucking hiding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And we're talking about stairs going up, or
the stairs going up. It just go right up to the top. And I've thrown down a lot of people down them stairs.
And how many guys would you have on the door?
Just two.
Two, yeah, okay.
And one person upstairs. Licensed guards, that is. Licensed guards. Yeah, right. The rest were all undercover.
Ah, okay. And they were doing the drug run stuff?
No, they were there for the ones who...
The fights? The fights, yeah. Do you think that's better having no one visible, no security visible?
Yes.
Versus having visible? Okay, yeah, right.
It is, because the thing is, you do get to know who they are eventually when you're a regular. Yeah. But the thing is, they were there because, you know what? Back in the day, as we said before, no phones hardly. You know what I mean? Cameras virtually didn't work here. So if you slap somebody, at the end of the day, he could go home. He's not on the books. He can go home and no one knows who the fuck's who hit him. There was always me, another doorman, and there'd be probably 1, 2, 3, 4 other undercover guards outside.
Yeah, right. And what kind of music do they play here?
High energy. High energy, but Friday nights was UN nights, and that'd be R&B. Right. But Saturday nights was the nights to come.
Do you ever go party up there? Or, I mean, like...
I partied once. I partied once.
Okay.
Just the once.
Yeah. I mean, how would you hide yourself, or are you just having a great night?
Nah, you know what? But no, I would never. I'd have a good night, but I would never showcase myself if I went to a venue that I worked at. I would never let myself vulnerable for people to see how I party.
Do that somewhere else. Now, your stint here, how long was it? Like, sort of
From 2003 till it closed in 2008.
There was a lot of turf wars with nightclubs. Did you have any incidents out here?
Oh, there's a lot of incidents out there. A lot.
What was the scary one for you here? Like,
For here, there's been, I wouldn't say there's been scary. Yeah, the drive-by was scary that happened here. You know, because at the end of the day, the hit was put on me. You know what I mean? It was there, and everyone says, "Oh, but it was a hit to do to." So, but the thing is, back then, people don't realize that I was so close to the owners here that they knew that taking me out was a sign to say, you know, to give back to the owners. You know what I mean? We've taken them out. You know, because I think it was maybe 5 weeks before that, I was stopped at Ramwick in a shopping centre, and I had my daughter in a sack because she was so young, and they thought it was a gun. And you know, that was stopped, and I was warned. And then it was maybe 6 weeks later that the drive-by happened here. You know what I mean? So that's the gang turf war that was going on at the time.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, you're a sitting duck. Like,
here I was, yeah.
A drive-by's an easy thing to do.
But the thing is, the police used to question me a lot. They used to say to me, like, "Oh, why are you always so curious what's going past?" And I said, "Why wouldn't I be? Look who I work for. Look at the venue I work for. My eyes are not always on." My eyes are on the cars that are going past. How do you remember the cars, Neil? Well, I'm looking at the cars because if a car drives slow past here, one, he's only going to stop at the lights. But if the lights are on green, why is he stopping for? Why is he slowing down for?
Did your street smarts start in Liverpool?
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit, yeah. All the time. Because a lot of my friends there, I grew up and a lot of their uncles were shot in front of us, you know, in gang wars. You know what I mean? So I've grown up with that. Back in England, you had punch-ups and you know what, whoever won, it was forgotten and you go your separate ways. Here, if you have a punch-up and you can give someone a hiding, then they come back the next week and they want to shoot you.
Tongan Sam, did he run the store ever, or was he more?
From when I've been here, Tongan Sam's never ran this store. Tongan Sam used to turn up with John and walk around with John. So I've never seen him run this store. I remember sometimes I let in regulars who I knew were good boys, but they sometimes didn't have the look, right? And I remember getting told off by John for letting them in, because at the end of the day, the stereotype that he liked, he didn't like letting the stereotypes in. But I knew these boys were harmless, but because they looked like somebody, you know what I mean? It's very hard. I was very judgmental with a lot of people, you know what I mean? Because I had to be so strict here on the people I let in. And people, like, I still get stopped now when I walk through Parramatta going, "Oh, you're the doorman from DCs. You never used to let me in. Why didn't you used to let me in?" And I used to have to say to them, "Well, tell me what you used to look like back in the day." And if they, you know, rat's tails, the mullets, that back then, even though you can't do it now because that's discrimination, you know what I mean? I could do that now.
Yeah, Neil with the rat's tails.
Yeah.
And that's what I used to do. I used to cut the hair of everybody here. I had scissors here.
So they had the option.
Yeah.
They cut it off?
Cut it off and come in. And I remember this guy.
Where'd you keep the scissors?
So the scissors just behind the door here.
Yeah.
There's an electric box. I used to keep the scissors in there. And it was only because this one guy asked me what to do. And I said, "Do you want me to come in?" He goes, "I'll come in, Neil, for anything. Let me come in." I said, "Let me cut your hair." And he goes, "All right." So I ran upstairs, got scissors, and that was the start of it. So I get my scissors there all the time. Yeah. And I must have cut people's hair probably every second week.
I mean, looking back on here, good times overall?
Like best times.
Yeah.
Best times.
I mean, you had the power here. You could really show what you can do as a doorman.
This made me grow as a person, this door.
DCM stands for Don't Call Mummers, right? Yeah. We had a nightclub in Auckland called Don't Tell Mothers, and it was before this, I think. So, I don't know. Well, at least it was a little nice twist on the name, I guess. But we probably ripped it off someone else, right? And we just see John out here. He mingled out in the street, right?
So when he used to come down here, you'd hear the Range Rover driving down, right in the front here.
Yeah.
He'd get out, and then maybe for half an hour, he'd stand here with Tongan Sam around him, look at the crowd coming in.
With his back to the road.
Yeah, show his face. And, you know, he didn't care because he was showing his power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he'd stand here, get to know it, and then on to the next venue.
And how many venues did he end up having at once at the most? Like
16.
16?
I think 14 to 16.
And were they all nightclubs? Well, nightlife sort of venues. Wow. This was his baby?
This is his baby. This is the money maker.
Yeah, it made the money. Yeah,
This is the money maker.
How did it end? Like,
License
the it was because of the...
They closed it down. They went to court about it, and they were given a notice to close it down. And that's when we went up to the top here, where Havana was. We called it Havana instead of DCMs. So then we tried to put it on the police to change it.
Oh,
but then
okay.
they got wind because what they seen was they seen the same management door there, they seen the same doorman door there, the same crowd went up there, and then they got wind. Oh, this is DCMs.
And what were they walking around, or were they kind of undercover? Or
No, they walked. As I said, they did surveillance up there. So they did surveillance up here
for what? Looking for the drugs and stuff.
But we went into DCM, so they get footage of who was going in there, how it was run. You know what I mean? Everything.
Were they more interested in just the bikies, or were they interested in the...
They was to see how DCMs was run, because they were trying to close it down.
Yeah, okay. Oh, why?
Because of, as I said, the affiliation.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. And which room were they in? I mean, did you ever see them?
Oh, you could see them, because when they were there, the cameras could always, the lights from the camera, you could have moustaches. I don't know.
Sydney's King's Cross is probably the most notorious night spot in Australia, with its mix of music, booze, drugs and sex.
King's Cross experienced 7 years of lockouts, which restrict the opening hours of bars and nightclubs. This was due to violence and fatalities from partygoers and gangs.
Was King's Cross known internationally?
Yes.
So would celebrities come over, or
yes, that's but back then. This is where you'd want to be seen. You'd want to come here. If it wasn't Tunnel Nightclub, Dragonfly, or Piano Room, or Trademark, or maybe Lady Lux, celebrities knew about King's Cross.
And what was the reputation like? Was it just party area?
It was just party. It was just party all night. You club jumping from club to club. Yeah. Doesn't even look like it's busy on the bus.
So is the party bus kind of a thing over here, or?
Oh, there's a lot of party buses here.
Would they take you to the clubs?
Yeah, but they'd have certain clubs they go to. Yeah, man, they'd be mostly Irish pubs. Probably not nightclubs. We wouldn't let anything like this into a nightclub.
Is the Coke sign pretty much the start of the cross, or you use it as a marker to meet people?
It was the start. It was the start. So if you now look at down there, imagine this street where you cannot move. Cars bumper to bumper. Yeah. When I'm saying bumper to bumper, man, you were going maybe 5Ks, not even that, 2Ks, moving along, trying to go. And this is at this time now. You could not drive a car through there. It would take you about half an hour to get through.
Right. Was it also a bit of a car show?
Yeah, there would be car show too. People coming in their fucking cars that they put in the garage, bring them out for the weekend. Yeah, there'd be a lot of that.
Because I actually enjoyed that. That was kind of fun those days. Yeah.
But you got to imagine the sidewalks where you cannot move. There's so many people. You know what I mean? But look at it now. And you're looking at this, 10:30. Friday night, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and there's... Look at that.
Okay. Yeah. It's like New Year's Eve every week.
Every weekend. Everyone would be popping from different clubs going everywhere. Yeah. Doorman, lineups everywhere to get in.
So the epicenter was the whole thing, or kind of maybe around here, or?
No, so your club scene started now. It's hit here. Yeah. So you'd have, your piano room was around the corner, but piano room's above here. So piano room, all them dark windows there, that was piano room. All right, it was a kind of a bar. They were trying to take over from Hugo's to get the celebrities, high class clientele in. It lasted for what do you reckon? 2 years, and then they started letting people in, didn't they? The dress code just went down the drain. Right. They started with dress codes where you couldn't get in. Yeah.
How important was that dress code back then?
It was important, man, because it stopped a lot of riffraff coming in.
Okay. Everyone was suits, ties, dressed nice.
You know what I mean? But then the crowd wouldn't come because we were so strict on the doors. So then we got lenient and more lenient and more lenient, and then all of a sudden there was no fucking dress code.
What was the first bit of leniency? Was it the collars or something?
You could take the jackets off. There was no fucking jackets. So, you didn't have to wear a tie. You didn't have to wear a shirt. You could get in with a t-shirt.
Okay. So we're in the cross. It's Friday night. It's dead, right? Yeah. This is the city was going on. Yeah.
So that was the back entrance for the tunnel in Dragonfly. Okay. So that was the back entrance.
Okay. When we say Dragonfly, was that the name it changed into?
Changed it into.
Actually,
until it was a Dragonfly. This was pretty popular.
Very popular. Very popular. Very popular with celebrities. Very sexy crowd. lineups like you're probably getting the same lineups that I had at DCMs. You know what I mean?
Right. And it was the same time as DCMs? Same, yeah, I think. This wasn't John's club?
Yes, that was John's club.
Okay, one of the 16.
This is one of his babies too.
Yeah, right.
And then this was one of his babies too. This was Dreamgirls and Porky's.
Oh, this was where Porky's was?
Yes.
Because that's pretty notorious. I mean,
So this was Dreamgirls. That was a strip club.
Yeah.
And that was Porky's there. That's the original Porky's.
Oh my God.
The original door to Porky's right there.
Wow.
So that was the actual brothel.
So, okay, this had the neon signs.
Yes.
We obviously saw it in the last hymn of the cross.
Yeah. We can talk
Oh, right.
on the roof there.
You could probably still see.
They used to have it, but that's been taken down now. They took them down to use it as in the King of the Cross.
Yeah.
It used to be up there, right there.
Oh, right.
In the middle.
Oh, you can see the sign.
There.
Up there.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's not illuminated right now, plus.
Yeah, there's two. There's two there.
So this is a strip club.
That was a strip club there. So it used to be Porky's, all in one. But then they stopped it and put all the brothel upstairs, and then they moved it and changed the name, Dreamgirls, for the strip club downstairs.
Right. Did you ever work?
I worked in both.
Okay, sweet.
So I used to look after both. But when I worked here, I was one of the doormen that I said that was the behind the scenes, wasn't a license guard. That's what I was here.
Ah, okay. What's the difference between a bouncer at a strip club versus a nightclub?
To tell you the truth, you can't let anyone touch the girls.
Yeah.
Intoxication and all that kind of stuff is still the same, but it was mostly just to make sure the girls were safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. And you'd have your speakers here, 2 speakers that'd be at the top, trying to get people in.
Okay.
I was there too. I used to be inside the brothel, and I managed the brothel for 6 months.
Okay.
So
that would have been a different kind of buzz.
that was different. I'd never managed the brothel in my life, but then I used to manage it on
Time's up, buddy.
Tuesday and Wednesday nights. I used to manage inside there for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Which was good. And it was actually you got to see how the girls swindled and the guys. You know, scammed them.
Yeah.
Like I'd never seen that. Oh no! When I say scam them, they used to scam them good.
Right.
Like you give them a credit card, the card got swiped 6 times. Not just once, 6 times.
And these guys are kind of a bit drunk and shit.
They don't know what's going on. So when they get home, they realize like all I paid was $220, but all of a sudden I paid $1,500.
Wow.
Guys used to stay in here for 2 nights, 3 nights straight, wouldn't come out. And these guys were lawyers, doctors. They'd stay in there and party.
They had that much money. They get this. How much money? They just want to stay on the same girl. It'd be thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah. It was a very seedy place, this. Very seedy.
And this ran for a long time.
A long time. Long time before I even got here.
Yeah, this was...
Back in the, you're looking, it's like, you know...
Maybe even the 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
I remember coming here the first time, I'd come across, and I went to Love Machine, which was across the road.
Yeah.
And that's where they used to do the live sex on the stage.
Oh, wow.
I'd never
here in Sydney?
Yeah, I'd never seen
I thought that was an Amsterdam thing.
No. First time I'd ever seen it, I walked in there and...
This is a curiosity. Yeah. You're just like, okay, let's go, guys.
We sat there.
The popcorn.
We sat there and the beer wasn't real, it was fake beer.
Oh, my God.
And then you sit there and they go, who wants to get up with the girl? And I remember they going, what do you mean want to get up? And this guy who's on the other side of the chairs goes, I will. And he got up and started, going for gold with it.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, no. Oh, so you don't need to go to Porky's, just go to the free sex over the road. Just got to put your hand up first, right? Oh my God.
But this was, I enjoyed working here. Like, I used to be here during the week from Monday to Thursday, looking after this place, and then I'd walk across. That was my job, walk across, make sure all the venues were safe, but mostly be here to be at Porky's too and Dreamgirls.
If you ever did go to Porky's, don't comment. Why was it called Porky's? Don't know about that. Why was it called Porky's? Don't know why it's called that.
Well, yeah, it's sad that you see it like this because, you know, when you think of King's Cross, okay, you've got the Coke sign.
Yeah.
You've got a few other venues that you think of, but then you think of Porky's, you know what I mean? Because it was like, it was lit up.
What they did with the strip club in New Zealand, it's still a strip club. It's like the Porky's of K Road, right?
Yeah.
And they actually use it as a dance venue. People come in, they have like nights there, like music nights. It also is a strip club on those, not those nights. Yeah. But it's a kind of a novelty thing to go to this club that's a strip club, but you're not going there to look at girls.
Well, this was kind of a nightclub.
They could have done this for this.
This was, even though it was a strip club, it was a nightclub because, you know, we went on till 6 o'clock in the morning of the weekend. It closed.
Yeah, okay, right.
You know, during the week it closed at 4, maybe 5 sometimes. But the music was going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone would be up dancing. It was a party scene.
What's interesting that there's a nightclub right next door, because that actually, you don't see that too much.
We used to come from there to there.
It's like,
And this bit was opened late on for Dreamgirls. So what that was there was a seating room for people to smoke, but also to see the girls. So the girls, the strippers would come in there and promote themselves in that room. So you walk past and they'd be sitting there on a stool, and you could actually see the girls.
yeah. So that's like the Amsterdam, the red light district. I mean, was King's Cross a red light district?
Yes.
So escorts?
100%. Oh, in its heyday, there would be escorts all around here. Right. You know what I mean? In its heyday.
Yeah.
That's what you come to King's Cross to see.
Yeah. I mean,
You know what I mean? But as you see now, and this is where John used to, like we said down at DC's, did John make his presence in?
Did he own Porky's?
Yeah, he was part owner. Part owner, bro.
He owned Porky's, Firefly,
the tunnel.
Was it Dragonfly?
Dreamgirls to the tunnel.
Yeah.
And this is where John used to stand here too. So he would make his presence when he got to the cross.
Yeah.
He'd come through, as I said, the piano room to Trademark, and then from Trademark he would make his way here, and he would stay here for maybe approximately about an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you can get a feel for the whole thing because you see who's going in, you see how the whole door's working.
Yeah.
Obviously, go and have a glimpse inside as well. But when you say show the presence, is that just like a presence of every? You know what I mean? It's kind of like
everyone knows John. John was this. The cross was John. You know what I mean?
And would even the patrons know him?
Yeah. Oh shit! Well, since Underbelly came out, yes.
But pre
that, he was under the radar, but they still knew who he was, but they didn't pay attention as much. Okay. But when Underbelly came out, then everyone loved, that's John Ibrahim.
Was it cool to know him prior or afterwards, obviously, right?
After Off of Sleep, but before that, you know what? It made everyone's job who looked after him harder when everyone knew him from Underbelly, because when you're watching somebody as high profile as him, and then, you know, he's under the radar, you can walk around. But once his name got out there, like, that's John Ibrahim, Underbelly, he owns this is King of the Cross. Then people, when you're walking the streets, and you imagine that picture you've seen when it's packed, we're walking, and you're watching everyone, because everyone wants a picture with him then. So they're all stopping, so they're all coming. Right. And you know what I mean? It was...
Did he enjoy that? He must have.
John, yeah.
He seems like quite a guy that can...
He's very private, but he likes the line, yeah, he likes it. So my routine was always King's Cross, go look after King's Cross, and then after I worked at DCMs, it was to just be around him and walk around with him. Yeah. Go to venue, and then when he went home, then I would walk around all the venues to make sure they were all right. Yeah, back when I was working here, like I wasn't doing door work. I never done door work at King's Cross. Oh, okay. I was always one of them quiet doormen. So I was the one who was the sleeper. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's that empty space there is where the Bourbon Bar used to be.
Okay, well, what's the Bourbon Bar?
Bourbon Bar was the iconic bar and pub and nightclub that is renowned for King's Cross, and it's a bit weird why they knocked it down. To me, that's where it used to be here. So you've still got a little bit of it there.
Oh, the Bourbon, yeah.
Still there, but the rest is all gone.
Oh, well, that building, it's an old building.
That's it. So that was part of the Bourbon. That was part of the club upstairs. That's where the nightclub used to be, the day club.
Did you ever work this one?
No, never worked there.
But a cool place though.
Cool place, came here, partied, but never worked.
Yeah.
So you get the gist of, you know, what it was like.
Oh, okay, we can see here. Oh. Yeah. Prepared this earlier for everybody. We've got a... Okay, well, that's been a fascinating look into the world of Sydney nightlife. Neil, thank you so much.
I hope I got everything in that you wanted.
No, it's been more than enough, and it's fascinating. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions about anything, put them in the comments. We'll get a little conversation going. Make sure to check out Neil's podcast. It's called Secrets of the Underworld.
Yeah, correct.
Yep. You've got that on Spotify.
All podcast platforms. Yep.
You've got some other stuff you're cooking. You can't announce it yet, but something really exciting you were telling me about. Yeah, follow Neil. I'll put his Instagram down there. Okay, a little bit fitting here. We've got a police car coming down. So still a bit of action in the cross. Like, there's funny looking Australian police cars with like babs in the back and shit, you know. Yeah, so check out Neil's stuff. Also check out other lost nightclubs from around the world. I've got a whole bunch more coming this year. But we're going to leave it with a thank you, sir. That was fucking amazing. Tune in next time, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.